Hello, this is an introduction to the video you're about to see. I just had a 45-minute discussion virtually with OASE personnel, Jordan Meisner, Vice President Global, Greg Wagner, U.S. Tech and Sales Manager for the product, and Rob, who is the local sales rep out here in this area, to discuss the OASE products, primarily SeDox Max and SchlixX Plus. There's about a 10-minute gap at the beginning where my camera didn't turn on, and then you've got 36 minutes of video.
In that sediment matrix, they fluff it, So I would to give you some degree of some answer, I would need to know what organic content I'm dealing with, and quite honestly, that could determine the dosage. I mean, for some reason, and I don't know Lake Lawrence that well, but if it's 40-50% organics, okay, then we're looking at, okay, how do we tackle this? We tackle this over the course of a couple years, stepping it down, or do we try and go in and just annihilate all those organics with one dosage? So
right,
I'm not trying to dance around it, but
no, I understand, Greg. I do. I've been working with this for 3 years now, trying to figure out, get to the study portion of it, get the funding for the study portion, and then raise our LMD assessment fees so that we can actually get to doing a cure for our problem. Yeah. And then trying to identify what products are out there that would be best suited for our lake. And so I got some familiarity with what you're talking about, and I understand that knowing what the percentage of organics in the sediment is important for your particular product, reading your label instructions and how you do it. With that said, our budget for our lake is about $200,000 a year, and that's tapping each of our waterfront property owners about $800 a piece, which is pretty high. So we're looking at something that we can deliver over a 10 to 20 year period, taking a bite out of it a little bit each year, hopefully. And our first concern is with phosphorus mitigation, because that's our biggest problem, is toxic algae blooms. And I just looked back for the last 16 years, and our average number of days out of that 16 years that we've been closed for HABs is 29.
Wow.
Yeah.
Probably always when it's hottest, when everybody would really like to be in the lake, would be my guess too.
Well,
August, September?
Well, a lot of times it's August, September, but it actually last year flowed all the way through February.
Wow.
So we had a really bad year last year, which got a lot of people's attention, but we had already started this process because we knew it was getting worse.
Yep.
And no one likes to see their water body closed for almost a month or 1/12 of the year, to include our county and state with public boat launch in a county park.
Yep.
So that's where we're coming from.
Did you guys do any watershed studies?
We have.
You do? Okay. Do you know the percentage of external load versus internal load for the phosphorus?
Yeah, it's about, in fact, I have it right here.
You sent me that report, right?
I did not send you that report. I did send you the link to our 1991 and 1994 studies, but the most recent study, which is what I've got the information sheet here, shows 4% from precipitation, 10% from aquifer or recharge into the lake. Sometimes that's our springs, and we have several springs that come up in our lake, and 84% from in-lake sediment.
Oh, wow.
I'm not surprised with a lake that big. that makes sense. So just really quick, I jumped on late, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aware. I don't know. I'm sure Herrera is a terrific organization. I just don't know who they are. So
Right.
I just want to make sure that we provide the right information to you all so you can make the decision that you need. And so just as a quick introduction, again, you know my name already. It's Jordan. Right. I've been with OASE for about 18 months, and prior to that I worked for a company called Solitude lake management for about 8 years. And so I've been in the lake management industry for about a decade. Greg's, he can introduce himself here in a second, but OASE brought their product line over from Europe to the U.S. with a primary focus on SchlixX Plus while it was in Europe, right? And so that's why when you're seeing, hey, what lakes have you worked on? They're ponds.
Right.
Now, if you look at some of the SchlixX Plus applications, they are on 60, 80, 120 acre or hectare lakes, which are probably about your body size of water body size. And so we are relatively new to the game.
Right.
We try not to hide from that. We could talk a little bit about cost, but I think if we really crunch the numbers and we could do that exercise here, will be the most cost-effective option from that perspective, and that's just due mainly to the efficiency of the product. So 1.5 pounds of phosphorus per 50 pounds of product is better than anybody else, and I'm just statistically is from a percentage standpoint. So again, we can dive into that a little bit, but I just wanted to just kind of start off with saying who we are and that kind of stuff. I'll let Greg talk because we do have a really strong grasp of large lake management, just at different companies, if you will.
Okay. Well, just to give you a background, we're a 320 acre lake. Average depth 12 feet. Deepest portion is 25 feet. We have 2 basins. Both basins have a deep area in both basins that go down to 24, 25 feet. And then they kind of go upwards. And I've got a YouTube video on our YouTube channel that shows what has happened to Lake Lawrence. We were carved out by a glacier way back when the Puget Sound Glacier moved back up into Canada and carved out Lake Lawrence and left us a pothole that filled with water. And our sediment came from the Deschutes River when they diverted the Deschutes River into Lake Lawrence for a 20-year period in the early 1900s to make it a reservoir to create water flow during the late summer months when the Deschutes River went really low, so that the power plant in Olympia could maintain its power generation capability.
Okay.
And all that sediment from the Deschutes River filled our lake for 20 years and filled it with over 20 foot of enriched sediment.
Wow.
Yeah,
which,
that makes sense.
Which caused our problem.
Yep.
And our studies going back, Jordan, to 1991 was our first study. 1994 and 2004 have all shown the same results with very little change. And our study that we just are getting ready to conclude shows the same percentages of phosphorus loading in our lake from the sediment, from the precipitation, and from groundwater. So we haven't had a lot of change, so we think we're pretty well tuned in to what our problem is.
Yeah.
Now we just need to figure out how we're going to solve it in the best manner possible. One of the things I did like about your product was that it does have some additional oxygen recharge capability, which none of the other products do. So that was the thing that I liked about it. The thing that is causing me concern, obviously, is the pH factor in our lake. As it results, as it goes back to your product and how it buffers with pH or how it doesn't, and then the overall cost.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris. I think we're going to ask the same question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about the pH. What? I mean, what's a typical pH in your lake?
About 7.
Okay, that shouldn't be a problem at all.
Well, that's what I got back in one of the answers to my email. But I don't understand what the issue is. I'm not a scientist, Greg.
So one of the things, and I think what I believe this is what the issue is. So, and again, I think Herrera is probably world class at what they do. We're a new product. We probably haven't had a chance to connect with them, right?
Right.
So one of the ways that we impact phosphorus or bind phosphorus is through the formation of hydroxyapatite. That's unique to our product. That's unique to any calcium product. And so other calcium-based products on the market are susceptible to pHs under 9, or they're susceptible to pHs and anoxic conditions. Our product contains, and with calcium peroxide disassociating, it creates a situation to where we can still form hydroxyapatite in water and in the sediment. And so when Greg said we shouldn't have a problem with 7, that's because of the formulation of our product and the driving of hydroxyapatite. Greg is the more technical one, so he's probably going to correct me a little bit, but
No, it's solid state chemistry. Everything happens on the surface of particles, so you don't have to saturate the entire water to drive this reaction. Everything's happening on the surface of the particle, and the environment on the surface of the particle is ideal for the formation of hydroxyapatite. Now, that happens with our SeDox product. Now, I think what we've talked about is the SeDox Max,
Right.
which is a blend. All right, the SeDox Max, it works even better because the lanthanum component we use is not lanthanum modified bentonite clay or anything like that. It's lanthanum oxide, and what happens there when lanthanum and phosphate create rhabdophane upon hitting the water, the byproduct of that reaction is 6 hydroxyl ions, which just further make the hydroxyapatite formation work. So we actually get kind of a 1 + 1 = 3 kind of scenario where the side reaction or the side products of the lanthanum and phosphate are making what we already had in our original SeDox product work better. So that's how that drives. And again, like Jordan was saying, a lot of calcium products work on adsorption, electrostatic attraction. We actually have a reaction take place. You form hydroxyapatite, which is, a mineral, and it's locked in that mineral form now. It's not free to release later.
Okay, how long does it bind?
Till you're out of stuff. Just like how long does Foslock bind? It binds until you're out of lanthanum, until all the sites are, utilized.
Are you asking how permanent is the,
Right.
if there's a re-release concern? Okay,
Right.
yeah. So this is,
I'm sorry, no.
Go ahead.
No, it's a mineral. It's hydroxyapatite. It's the same stuff that makes your teeth and your bones. And if you did a sediment test right now, you'd find apatite. It's a permanent bind, the same as rhabdophane.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that either, but
That's what happens when lanthanum and phosphate get together.
Yeah, so that's when you're looking at Utrizorb or Foslock. You're
Right.
forming rhabdophane, which is a mineral that is
Rhabdophane?
it's not soluble.
okay. Yeah,
So
the lanthanum is one of the products that I know that binds the phosphorus up and keeps it down, keeps it out of the water column, keeps it from coming up and erupting out of the sediment. And even with lanthanum, they're saying longevity is 5 to 10 years.
Because
Go ahead.
you are going to have inputs. You're going to have, that it won't release it in 5 to 10 years. That rhabdophane is permanently bound, whether it's my lanthanum or Utrizorb's. Whatever molecules are bound up in lanthanum are not going to re-release. When they say 5 to 10 years, that's probably about the time that you would have enough input that you're going to start seeing phosphorus in the water column and whatnot again.
So you're talking about the additional input from the vents in the bottom of the lake, the rainfall, and
The geese,
yeah,
the people, whatever. Yeah.
yeah. We've got a lot of
And
geese.
Yeah, exactly.
Boy, do we have a lot of geese.
Yeah.
Flying rats. So that's
Yeah.
what, yeah, rapidofane and apatite under normal conditions only release phosphorus under extreme conditions. And when I say extreme conditions, like that's how you test for total phosphorus in a sediment.
Right.
You acidify that down to like 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then you boil it. And okay, if we ever get a pH of 3 and boiling at your sediment layer in your lake, you've got a much bigger problem than the phosphorus release at that point in time. You know,
Well,
it's
we have
probably-
Mount Rainier, so that could.
I was going to say,
Sure,
Mount St.
yeah.
Helens or Mount Rainier or somebody has decided to wake up.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just looking at, I don't know if you got our water quality data sheet that Rob
did.
sent. Okay, so, you know, that shows our DO levels, particularly in from like May through September, really falling in the deep area, 6 meters or below. It also shows our pH levels changing from, you know, a low of 6.2 to a high of about 7.8 to 8.4.
Yeah, so I think that's why SeDox Max, and then maybe in subsequent, again, 2 different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you just simply want to attack P initially, I'm going to tell you to use the SeDox Max because it has the absolute best binding capacity and all those things. Now, it's also going to give up oxygen, so it's going to help address your DO issue, and it's going to put some dissolved inorganic carbon in the form of total alkalinity into your lake.
Right.
So, you know, that's going to help.
Okay.
I'm guessing you could probably have, like you said, I think you said at the beginning of this, it's a low alkaline, low hardness. It's a lean lake anyway.
Right.
So, you know, it's going to help with that some.
Okay.
Now, later, if you want to attack the organics, and you said you had some maternal loading and things like that, SeDox Max will go down, like if you put enough in, all right, you'll strip water column, and then whatever's left over goes down and does that work at the lave outlet, right there where at the sediment water interface, right, which is where it's probably concentrated right now with it being wintertime and cold.
Right.
So it'll work on that. If you then want to digest the organics later and then digest the organics in a way that you don't puke phosphorus back in the water column, then you use SchlixX Plus to do that whole mechanism.
Right. Yeah, most of the released phosphorus from our sediment is in, you know, like the top 7 or 8 centimeters.
I would dare say the top 4, but yeah, I get what you're saying, and that SeDox Max will, if you put enough in to address the water column and then excess to go to work on that, then it'll sink down there and it'll attack that readily releasable stuff right there, like you're saying, in that 4 centimeters, you know, that real fluid, very releasable pore water section of that sediment.
Well, Greg, is the application of this product very similar to alum or lanthanum or Foslock?
Yes.
More
It's a-
similar to Foslock and
Foslock
Nutrisorb.
and
Alum
Nutrisorb.
generally is a liquid.
Yeah, they mix it in a slurry and then put it in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's how-
yeah. So
yeah.
same thing. This goes in a slurry, and I mean, you know, in an application like yours too. I mean, I don't want to speak for who your application, and I don't know who that would be. I don't even know who you would use to apply it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's still to be determined.
It is.
But
We
it-
have 2 contractors out here in the western portion of Washington State that we use, Aqua Techniques and Northwest Aquatics.
In a situation like this, if this were to come about, you know, we would probably work. I mean, we could work out of 55 or 50-pound sacks if you want to. You know, in a situation like this, you know, it may be worth looking at as a good idea to do a run of super sacks. You know,
Right.
and do it that way, because I mean that's a lot of 50-pound.
It's all about
you know.
50-pound bags, and it's certainly a lot of buckets.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, looking at, you know, the different price range you have, I think you have a 2,000-pound super sack or something like that.
In Europe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where those are. We can definitely do that here, and
Yeah.
just to level set on pricing too, really quick. So I just, as we were talking, and even if we look at the MSRP pricing of a bag of product. You said 7,700 pounds of phosphorus you're targeting?
67
So
to 7,700.
So even if we're at 7,700, divide that by 1.5, you get 5133, 5,133. That's how many bags of product you'd need.
Mm-hmm.
And you multiply that by 250, you're at $1.2 million for 7,700. And that, I mean, that's without application and all that kind of stuff. But that just for the product at MSRP, it's 1.2 million and change. So it's, and that's driven by, I mean, Foslock is 100 pounds of product gets you, what, half a pound of phosphorus?
Yeah, we're not using. Yeah, we're not using Foslock. We would use.
G.
We would use Utrizorb G
okay.
or Utrizorb SI, which is another product that Utrizorb is coming out with. I'm sure you're aware of it. We've also been looking a lot at ZVI because we have a iron deficiency in our lake bottom. Our ratio of iron to phosphorus is very low. So, go ahead.
You also have anoxic conditions.
We have anoxic conditions, which also causes a problem for FE, which we're also aware of. So that's some of the determinations that we're having to really take a close look at is pH and anoxic conditions, low DO at the bottom of the lake, particularly in the late summer months, etc. And even when go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're
Don't
fine.
finish that. No, I'm just curious because, look, at the end of the day, I'm a chemist.
Yeah.
And water quality is my thing. My whole life has been predicated on water. This is how I do my calculations here.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying 60-some hundred to 7,700.
Yeah, that's
I
the
took that.
total pounds of phosphorus in our water.
So I took it 311 acres, 12 feet.
Yeah.
And based on the data, I got 0.07 milligrams or 70 parts per billion as kind of an average number for the phosphorus in the water column. And then I did your sediment, and I didn't use 311 acres. I don't know why I came up with 311 instead of 312 or 20, but that's what it was. I got this number somewhere. I assume that those it's about 10% solids, you know, your sediment layer at the top, and 46% of that is as available P. And I came up with 72, 75 in the sediment and another 700, so that's 7,900. So
Okay.
my point in all that being, we're all in the same ballpark in terms of
Pounds of phosphorus.
how we come up with the pounds of P, I think.
Right. Yeah, it's very similar, and when we've done the 3 different studies over the years, that really hasn't changed much.
Okay.
Hopefully we gave you a little bit of a better perspective on the cost portion of it. Just, I mean, we are definitely within the ballpark of what you guys are looking to do aggressively. The pH and anoxic conditions are not anything that would bother our product in a negative way. We would only enhance the anoxic conditions and again buffer the pH as needed from a product standpoint. You know, again, it's a new product.
Mm-hmm.
This is a new size from a water body perspective, but with the experience, you know, with Greg and myself and our PhD limnologist, something we can definitely tackle. But what other questions do you have specifically about the product? Again, we can kind of go into the chemistry more if there's some questions on that.
Well, you know, the chemistry is something that I leave to the experts. I've just been trying to familiarize myself with as much of it as I can. Like I said, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a biologist. I'm just a co-chair for a lake management district that's trying to inform his steering committee as best I can. I guess the biggest thing is getting an experimental plan together that ecology will be satisfied with. The big thing there is going to be water quality testing as the product's applied and after it's applied to determine the percentage of active ingredient that remains. I don't know exactly how that all works, but I do work with Sean Altigan from Department of Ecology, Washington State Department of Ecology, and he's the expert on this. He's the one that will approve the experimental plan, and I think I sent Rob you the information that he's currently working on 2 others, and he would be available starting in February to work on one of these.
Yes.
Which our timeline right now is approval of this study plan by April, a possible approval by ecology by June, and then the first application of this a product in early fall, late summer, early fall is what we're looking at.
Which is ideal, actually.
Yeah, and well,
SeDox Max, again, because it's a phosphorus binder, I want as much of your phosphorus in the ortho form as possible. That typically happens fall going into winter,
right.
or really, really early spring,
Yeah.
before biology has a chance to uptake it and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what you're talking about, a timeline. That's really ideal to do it, you know, in a fall application. We've done a lot of stuff here lately on social medias and various things about fall application, the ideal time to bind phosphorus.
Right, and so what we're looking at is, I'm planning on putting together an RFP for our 2 contractors to get out to them by the 1st of April, prior to approval of the study plan, but after release of the study plan. The RFP will not specifically identify a product to be used.
Right.
That's something that we will work out with the contractors, but we will request the contractors do a cost estimate analysis for the products, and we'll identify 2 or 3 different products that we're looking at using, and so they can put together, because different products require different testing regimens, they require different notification regimens.
Yeah.
I don't know what your product will require right now, because it's not in our APAM, our Aquatic Plant and Algae Management permit right now, but because it would be an experimental plan, they are going to require more water testing, more water quality testing for this product, at least until they determine that it is something that they can add to the APAM.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where we're coming from. So, Jordan, I mean, yeah.
How can I best help you out? You know, with, you know, you're talking about taking some stuff to Aquatechnics and
Right.
to Northwest Aquatics. Is there anything I can do to help those folks with any questions?
Well, what I will do if this recording that I've made comes out okay, and I don't have any guarantees of that,
Sure.
I can forward that to Herrera so that they can take a look at it before they finalize their results. And then if I could maybe Jordan and Greg, if you could email me your contact information where they might be able to connect with you to get
Absolutely.
more data on your product, so that the information they put on the preliminary comparisons would be better. But I will tell you that for our lake, for our people, we've gone from $367 a year for our lake assessment fees to $780 a year in order to get to the point of being able to do some type of phosphorus mitigation.
Yeah.
And this is a 35-year plan for us for our assessment, because we do know that it would be a long-term investment. So the last question I have for you on my list, Greg, is this a product? We can't afford 1.2 million in one application. Okay. So is this a product that can be applied incrementally each year, where I can get the cost down to a 10 or 20-year cost of about $100,000 to $105,000 per year?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because quite honestly, I mean, I can break it down 97 different ways, but you know, what I would say to you is, you tell me how much pee you want to take out. You know, I can tell you what my cost per, you know, we come up with a cost per pound of pee removed, and you know, you tell me how much pee you want to take out, and we'll take that much out, and then next year we'll take that much out again. You know, I mean.
Well, that's my question. Can this be an accumulative effect, and
Sure,
not?
absolutely.
Okay, because I do. Go ahead.
Unless there is more pee coming in every year than what you're taking out,
Yeah.
then
Right.
you're going the wrong direction.
Right. Well, we have no inflow of rivers, streams, etc. The only inflow we have is precipitation, aquifer recharge, and land overflow, land flow. And I've told you what those percentages are. They're 4 and 10%.
Yeah, it's all 85% internally loaded, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So yeah, and you know what I have found interesting about your body of water? I came up with an average, messing around, of like 70 parts per billion of total phosphorus. I want to make sure that number sounds about right to you.
I don't know. I'd have to. You're talking about 70.
The reason that's interesting to me is
It's low.
that you're having horrible cyanoblooms.
Right, and that seems low to have those type of cyanoblooms.
But you also have a very lean water. So you are probably, your red field ratio is probably completely out of whack. You're probably low on dissolved inorganic carbon, either right or even high on nitrogen, and that, because these other things are low, that's why 70 parts per billion of phosphorus is driving a blue-green algae for you, whereas in Indiana, I mean, yes, 70's high, it's technically eutrophic if you're just going on total phosphorus, but
Right.
we'd have no problem with 70 parts per billion of phosphorus. You wouldn't get blue-greens or anything like that.
Okay.
So I think from the chemist standpoint, it's very interesting. This body of water and this ecology is very interesting to me because, like you said, 70 is not wildly horrible, but the
Right.
results of that 70 are terrible for you guys.
Well, when they shut us down for on average a month a year,
Yeah.
that's pretty nasty. That's what we see.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh.
Lake Lawrence is not alone. There are lots of lakes.
Yeah, well, almost all the lakes in western Washington are mesotrophic or eutrophic, or on the borderline between mesotrophic and eutrophic.
Okay.
We have other lakes right now that are using Utrosorb G or Utrosorb GSI. We have one larger lake, Black Lake, that used alum 5 years ago. I'm a believer that possibly if we can sequester the phosphorus that's in the water column and on the top layer of sediment initially, or over a couple years, we can stop the toxic algae, or the HABs, okay, and we can get to total mitigation, or not total mitigation, but pretty close to total mitigation of phosphorus in a relatively short period of time. But what I'm looking at, Greg, from you and Jordan, is we've given you all the data that we have on water quality data and in our sediment testing back in November of 2024, which pretty much matched our sediment testing from 2004 to 1994 and 1991. Not a lot of difference because we haven't done any phosphorus mitigation in all those years. So not a lot has changed except for some compounding organic and inorganic sediment that, from decaying plant material, geese, fish, that kind of thing. So what I would be looking for is possibly an email from the two of you or one of you with the other one attached that I can pass off to Herrera Inc. to contact you. And that can go through Rob, that's fine. And then have them link up with you and ask any questions that they need to basically get our phosphorus inactivation preliminary comparison more correct than it is right now as far as cost, analysis for pH and oxygen, etc. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Yeah. When do you need that by, Barry?
Well, like I said, I have a meeting tonight at 6:30 with Herrera to go over this. I am going to tell Clark, who is our manager of our contract, that I've had this discussion with you. I'm going to hopefully download this video after we get done here to see if it actually took, where I can actually send it to him and say, hey, I need you to take a look at this. I'm not bound by what's been done in the past. I'm looking at all alternatives to find the best one for our lake and water body
Sure.
at a cost that we can afford. That's
always the problem with phosphorus.
That's always.
And we'll do you one better too with this recording. We can also, and I'll have Greg, if that's okay, send the email to Rob, but we'll include a link to a webinar that Greg actually did, and it was with our limnologist as well, that talks specifically about how the product works.
Okay.
A little bit more succinctly than we probably did on this call.
Okay.
And so feel free to share that as well.
All right.
I think that might answer a lot of open questions
Okay.
as well.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for the conversation,
Yeah,
Barry,
appreciate the
thank
time,
you.
the consideration.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
and we'll be
And
in
anything
contact.
You need from me, Barry, anything you need from me, you just let me know.
I appreciate it, Rob. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Take care, everyone.